Every day, millions of Americans drive on a type of road so dangerous that it kills over 8,000 pedestrians and cyclists annually. Yet most people don't even know it has a name. Picture your morning commute. You merge onto a wide commercial boulevard designed for highway speeds, accelerating past gas stations and chain restaurants. Suddenly, you're hitting your brakes hard as traffic crawls behind someone turning left into a strip mall parking lot. A pedestrian makes a desperate sprint across 6 lanes of moving traffic, trying to reach a bus stop with no crosswalk in sight. Cars weave aggressively between lanes as drivers attempt to access countless driveways while maintaining speeds that would be appropriate on an interstate. These roads have become the backbone of American suburban development, accounting for 60.4% of all pedestrian fatalities in 2022. How did America end up building thousands of miles of these deadly, expensive thoroughfares, and why do we continue constructing them across our communities?
Why are stroads so deadly, and why do we keep building them if that's the case?
The term stroad is a mashup of street and road, coined in 2011 by civil engineer Charles Marone. He called it the futon of transportation, an uncomfortable couch that also makes an uncomfortable bed. This analogy understates the problem, though. Stroads are actively destructive to our cities, our safety, and our wallets. To understand why stroads are so problematic, we need to grasp what roads and streets are supposed to do. A road is designed for one primary purpose: moving people and goods efficiently between productive places at high speeds. Think of an interstate highway with limited access points, wide forgiving lanes, and long sight lines. Everything about a road prioritizes speed and safety at that speed. A street serves a completely different function. Streets are platforms for building wealth and community. They are complex environments where people interact with businesses, where children play, where neighbors meet. Streets are designed for slow speeds to maximize the value of adjacent development and encourage human activity. The best streets feel more like outdoor living rooms than transportation corridors. The problem with stroads is they try to be both a high-speed road and a slow-speed street simultaneously. They feature multiple wide lanes like highways, but are interrupted every block by traffic lights, driveways, and turning traffic like city streets. This hybrid approach fails spectacularly at both functions, creating dangerous, congested, and economically unproductive corridors that have come to define the American suburban landscape. The consequences of stroad proliferation have fundamentally damaged American cities and communities in 3 devastating ways. Stroads have become the deadliest thoroughfares in America, and the statistics are staggering. A remarkable 60.4% of pedestrian fatalities from motor vehicles occur on these hybrid corridors, also known as arterial roads. In 2022 alone, over 8,500 pedestrians and cyclists were killed in car crashes, accounting for nearly 20% of all traffic fatalities. These numbers have been rising steadily since 2013. The danger stems from the design contradiction at the heart of every stroad. These corridors feature wide, straight lanes that encourage high-speed driving, typically 35 to 50 miles per hour, combined with numerous conflict points where vehicles enter, exit, turn, and merge. A study in Mankato, Minnesota found that the city's main commercial stroad had a crash rate significantly higher than traditional downtown streets, despite carrying less daily traffic. For anyone without the protection of 2 tons of metal, stroads represent a life or death struggle. Sidewalks, when they exist at all, are typically narrow strips of concrete placed directly adjacent to high-speed traffic. Pedestrians must navigate around utility poles, signs, and other obstructions while being buffeted by wind and noise from passing vehicles. Despite being built for speed, stroads consistently deliver the opposite: chronic congestion that frustrates drivers and wastes countless hours of productivity. The constant stopping and starting required by numerous traffic lights, driveways, and turning movements creates what traffic engineers call signal-induced congestion. The typical American response to congestion is to add more lanes, but this strategy backfires through a phenomenon called induced demand. When road capacity increases, more drivers choose to use that route, quickly filling the additional space. Within a few years, the wider road carries more traffic than before, but moves at the same sluggish pace. Stroads create a vicious cycle of car dependency that eliminates transportation alternatives. Distances between destinations are too far to walk comfortably, the environment is too dangerous for cycling, and public transit gets stuck in the same traffic as private vehicles. The financial costs of stroad infrastructure represent perhaps the most overlooked aspect of their destructive impact. These corridors are enormously expensive to build and maintain, requiring highway standard construction with wide lanes, shoulders, clear zones, and extensive drainage systems. A single mile of urban arterial road can cost over $1 million to construct. The financial burden extends far beyond construction costs. Stroad environments generate remarkably little tax revenue per acre compared to traditional urban development. The landscape of parking lots, single-story buildings, and wide setbacks produces a fraction of the property tax revenue needed to support the infrastructure serving it. Local businesses suffer under this development pattern as well. Small, locally owned enterprises cannot compete with big box stores that can afford massive parking lots and prominent stroad frontage. The noise, pollution, and hostile pedestrian environment drive away foot traffic, further disadvantaging businesses that depend on walk-in customers. The Netherlands provides the most compelling example of how to build transportation infrastructure that actually works. In the 1990s, Dutch planners implemented their Sustainable Traffic Safety Program, which eliminated stroads by classifying every thoroughfare into one of three distinct categories. Flow roads, or highways, handle high-speed travel between cities and regions. These corridors feature no traffic signals, no direct property access, and wide, forgiving design that prioritizes safety at speed. Distributor roads connect highways to local streets using roundabouts rather than traffic signals, with minimal direct access to adjacent properties. Access roads, or streets, provide direct connections to homes and businesses at speeds of 30 kilometers per hour or less, with design that prioritizes pedestrians and cyclists. This systematic approach eliminated the dangerous middle ground that defines stroads. Every corridor has a clear primary function, and the design supports that function rather than compromising it. The results speak for themselves. The Netherlands achieved a 30% reduction in expected traffic deaths between 1998 and 1999, 2007, while creating more economically productive and livable communities. American cities have begun implementing similar approaches with remarkable success. Lancaster Boulevard in Lancaster, California transformed from a dangerous 5-lane stroad into a thriving 2-lane street with a central median. The conversion spurred enormous economic development and created the social and economic heart of the city. La Jolla Boulevard in San Diego reduced travel lanes from 5 to 2 while adding roundabouts. Average speeds dropped from 45 miles per hour to 19 miles per hour. Noise pollution fell by 77%, retail sales increased 30%, and traffic crashes plummeted by 90%. Hillsborough Street in Raleigh, North Carolina had been the most dangerous road for pedestrians in the entire state. Converting the 4-lane stroad to 2 lanes with a median and roundabouts dramatically reduced crashes while improving business conditions. Fixing America's stroad problem demands that a choice be made for each corridor. Should this become a proper road or a proper street? The decision depends on the primary function the thoroughfare should serve in the transportation network. Converting a stroad to a road means prioritizing high-speed movement by eliminating access points, removing driveways and creating separate facilities for pedestrians and cyclists away from traffic flow. This approach works best for corridors that primarily serve regional travel rather than local access. Converting a stroad to a street means prioritizing the human environment by dramatically slowing traffic speeds. Road diets that reduce travel lanes, on-street parking, narrower lane widths, landscape medians, roundabouts, and buildings placed closer to sidewalks all contribute to creating a proper street environment. The most important principle is to start small and build momentum through incremental change. Attempting to fix the most problematic stroads first often generates overwhelming opposition. Instead, successful cities begin with less controversial projects that demonstrate the benefits of proper street and road design. Opposition to stroad conversion often comes from several predictable sources. Not in my backyard resistance, particularly from older residents attached to car-dependent lifestyles, frequently blocks density increases or walkability improvements. Some groups weaponize historical preservation rules to prevent beneficial changes. Political inertia presents another significant challenge. Transportation infrastructure lacks the emotional appeal of other policy issues, making it difficult to generate public support for change. Meanwhile, automobile manufacturers, oil companies, and other interests with stakes in car dependency actively lobby against reforms that would reduce automobile use. The stroad epidemic represents one of the greatest policy mistakes in American history, but it is reversible. Every community has the opportunity to choose a better future by building proper streets and roads instead of the dangerous, expensive, and ineffective hybrids that have dominated our landscape for too long.